Well, welcome back to FS Mania and part 3 of our flight in the Antilles Islands on the Cessna 208B EX Grand Caravan. We're here at St. Bartholomew Airport, Gustav III Airport, and as we've been waiting here for this return flight back to Princess Juliana International Airport, the weather has turned pretty crappy. Steady rain, gray skies. I haven't heard any thunder and lightning yet, but we'll have to keep an eye out for thunderstorms. So we're going to go ahead and, just to be on the safe side, we're going to set up for an approach into Princess Juliana. So we want to go ahead and just set up our direct waypoint for Princess Juliana, which the identifier is Tango November Charlie Mike, and we'll enter that and activate it. And our direct heading will be 312. We're 19 miles away from the airport, but let's go ahead and load up a procedure. We want to select an approach, and I think the approach we want to fly is the VOR DME. Apologize, a passenger cell phone going off in the back. We will fly that approach, and we want to fly the vectors, and we'll go ahead and just load it at this point. And we can close that box by hitting flight plan. And our own course heading right now is showing us about 312, but I want to fly a different heading. I think I'll fly a heading that's parallel to the final approach course of 095. So we're going to just bring it in and fly about 285. Be our initial heading after departure from St. Bart. And altitude, we'll go ahead and set that at 2,000. And with that, I believe we have everything set there the way we want it. And let's just take a look at our switches over here. Seatbelt signs are on. We'll wait to cut those on. Let's go ahead and taxi over here to the departure into the runway. See, we're going to have a bit of a tailwind, about 5 knots, nothing to be alarmed about. At St. Bart, it is only permitted to take off on runway 10, as there is a hill at the end of runway 28, and it doesn't allow any margin for error. And again, with the 52-foot wingspan of this 208, we want to watch that retaining wall there. And we'll just put on some brakes right here at the hold short line, and let's just run through the before takeoff checklist real quick, make sure we got everything covered. Our fuel boost switch needs to be up in the on position. Fuel quantity, well, they topped us off. How you like that? That's good. Elevator, aileron, and rudder trim. So we want to be sure we're set up for takeoff. And we are. And our ice protection, pitot static, we'll leave everything off. Prop heat off. Inertia separator. I think we'll go ahead and use that since we've got some rain and precip. And let's cut on our strobe. And let's cut on our landing lights, and let's set up our wing flaps over here, 1 notch, 20 degrees for departure. And our fuel condition lever, which I need to lean my head over to grab hold of. It is already up in the full on position, full up position. Okay, so we're good there. And I believe that's everything. Double check our CAS messages are fuel boost and pitot static heat. So we are good to go. So let's get rid of this brake. We'll just taxi over here. Line up with the runway. Double check our heading. It's 10. So as soon as we reach the end of the runway, of course we want to be airborne. We have about 2,000 feet here, but with a little bit of a tailwind, about 5 knots, 6 knots. as soon as we reach the end, we're going to need to start banking to the left so that we don't plow into this hillside. So that's your takeoff briefing. Give that turbine just a minute to spin up and release our brakes. Airspeed's alive. 40, 50, 60, 70, and we'll rotate there. 10 degrees nose up attitude. We'll start banking to the left. Was that an airplane I just saw? Surely not an AI airplane. Flaps are up, going up. And we'll just keep ourselves in the climb here. Come on around to a heading of 280. Actually, at this point, let me just level the wings. Let's get past that island before we turn back to the west. Go ahead and pull our prop back to 1800 and power back just a little bit. Keep it in the climb. Now we'll come on around to the west. There's our cruise altitude. I'll drop the nose. Now we're going to go ahead and make use of this autopilot, manage our resources. So I'll go ahead and flip that on. Altitude hold as highlighted, and let's put our heading bug on, and we'll let the autopilot take command, or control I should say. I'll continue to be pilot in command. And that will put us pretty much then on a downwind course for the final approach course. The runway 095 is the final approach course, runway 10 at Princess Juliana International. And so once we're in here, let's just look. We see our prop RPM looks good. Our power setting is maintaining us about 170 knots. We'll go ahead and cut off our landing lights. Our fuel boost, we can bring that back. Leave our prop heat and pitot static heat, and let's just see how bad. Still get some rain. It doesn't seem to be heavy enough. I think we can go ahead and take our inertia separator off, and we'll ease our power back just a little more, since that gave us a nice increase in power. There's some low clouds, some scud. Doesn't look like anything too violent. So this is the 10 DME arc that's associated with the VOR DME runway 10 approach at Princess Juliana. So we will want to intercept this arc inbound, and I'm going to actually turn us outbound just a little bit, give us a little more room to do that. We'll just come on over here to about a 270 heading, and we'll intercept that just looking at the wind, we'll intercept this arc and fly it inbound to the final approach course. And we'll stay at this altitude of 2,000 feet and just keep our speed up. Actually, we don't want to get too much faster, but I'd say everything looks pretty good there. So we're just going to fly straight through here, intercept, come in here, inbound, and then at the when we get close to the final approach course, we'll turn to an intercept heading of about 060 and fly it in. And when we reach this point here, which is our final approach fix, we can begin our descent down to the minimum descent height, which is 500 feet. And we have until this fix here. Let's see if I can zoom in some. There we go. This fix here, which is the missed approach point, to reach that height and find the runway and the airport. And hopefully the weather doesn't look too low. Hopefully we'll be able to find it and complete this leg of our 3-leg flight. Everything looks good out the side, so we're just going to now just monitor what we got going on in here. I do not have the VOR dialed into our nav radio. We could do that, and the frequency for the VOR is 113.0. So when we switch that, we should bring up the identifier, and we do. Papa Juliet Mike. And we have the inbound course needs to be set to the 095. Okay, we need to activate the approach, so let's do that. Activate vectors to final, we've done. Let's activate the approach right there. There we go. Now we've got the proper inbound course set in the GPS. And we do have the VOR tuned in. We're actually using the GPS to fly the approach since we have it. And I'm going to go ahead and reduce our power back, and we're just about ready to intercept that radio. In fact, we are intercepting that radio, so I'm going to go ahead and start turning us. Start out with an intercept of 290, and we're just going to fly this right on around. I'm going to reduce our power, begin to slow up our airspeed. Let's just continue that turn on around to 300. Airspeed beginning to bleed off. Continue that turn on around to 310. The point of this is that it, in theory, will keep us within 10 nautical miles of the airport and puts us in a position to intercept the final approach course. And in general, we want to adjust our heading in 10-degree increments. I have done this before with without the aid of a Garmin 1000. A little more difficult, a little more work involved. Continuing to ease back on our power setting. Putting in another 10 degrees into our turn. We're just following this arc right around real nicely to intercept this magenta line. Staying concentrated and focused on the instruments at this point. We'll go ahead now and bring our prop up to full RPM. Condition levers full forward. Now we've got some wind coming out of the west southwest. It's going to try to push us this way, so we're going to just hold this heading just for a minute here. We'll go ahead and put our landing lights on. Strobes are on. Let's cut on our fuel boost. And we'll let the passengers know. Landing is imminent, we hope. Zoom on in here. So we're within our 10-mile arc, and looks like that we're probably going to just hold this heading, and just for another 20-30 seconds here. I can see our CDI is beginning to move inward, so I know that we're getting close, and we'll go ahead and begin our turn inbound to an intercept heading of 060. That's going to give us about a 35-degree intercept heading. And I'm going to ease our power on off, slow us up just a little bit more. And we'll go ahead and begin our descent down to the 1600 minimum descent altitude until we pass the the initial approach fix. And our course is coming in inbound. So we're going to go ahead and begin the turn onto the final approach course 095. Bearing in mind we do have a tailwind. And we'll use the nav function of the autopilot to track that. And we have crossed the initial approach fix, so we'll go ahead and bring our altitude selection down to 500, which is the minimum descent altitude, or the MDA. And we'll continue inbound. And we will need to see if we can find the airport by the time we reach the missed approach point, and we are 4 miles away. And I'm going to bring our power back just a little bit more to slow us up within the flap extension speed, which is the white arc on the speed tape. See that late afternoon sun's lighting up the panel here. Can hear the rain hitting the aircraft. Tracking inbound nicely. Descending through 800. So we're 300 feet above our minimum descent altitude. I'm going to ease our power on back. We're still about 1.5 miles from the final approach, the missed approach point, and I'm going to go ahead and put us some first setting of flaps in, which is 20 degrees. I'll add a little bit of power back. And then we're coming through 600. Less than 1 mile to go, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find the runway, and there it is. So, y'all, dampers off, autopilot's off, I have control. And I'm going to slow up that descent. Since the PAPI's showing that I am below glide slope, that flight director needs to go. That thing is so distracting. There it is. And let's just hold this altitude until we get those lights to turn, 2 whites and 2 reds. There it is. Ease the nose on over now. Let's begin our descent. So we do have a slight tailwind, not enough to, with all this runway, I think we'll be fine. I know we'll be fine. And let's go ahead and get our final stage of flaps. Nose wants to porpoise up when I put those on, so I'm just pushing forward, easing back on our power. Airspeed's a lot higher than what I'd prefer it to be. That tailwind. We're gonna float just a little bit, but I'm just easing the nose up, slowing up. There's a little right rudder. Okay. Reverse. Keeping some right rudder in, and I'm still drifting to the left, but we'll get back over there. Okay. Flaps up. And we'll take this turn off right here. Okay, well, we made it back to our airport. We landed, we're in one piece. Weather got bad on us, but we didn't let that deter us. So, with that, we are going to conclude this third and final part of this little mini-series of Flight in the Antilles. Thank you for flying with FS Mania. We hope you come back, and for our next flight, don't know where it's going to be yet, but we're going to challenge ourselves to continue to push the envelope. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. See you on the next one. Goodbye.